The fascinating history of flour sack dresses. 1930s flour sacks featured colorful patterns for women to make dresses. Today, people still love to save money and reduce waste through clever DIY projects, like turning old tires into lovely ottomans. But in those days, doing it yourself wasn't a trend, it was a necessity. In those difficult times, if women wanted to provide for their families, they had to get creative, especially when it came to clothing. That's when women noticed that one of their food staples, flour, came in cotton sacks. Innovative and desperate, they often emptied the sacks and used the fabric to make clothing for their children. But when flour sack manufacturers caught word of the trend, they decided to reinvent the way they packed their flour, and the results are stunning. When flour manufacturers saw women turning their flour sacks into clothing, diapers, dishcloths, and more, they started packing their flour in pretty patterns. Families greatly appreciated this, as times were very hard. The sacks came with bright, colorful designs, and sometimes patterns for toys. The sacks were labeled, but the ink was washable. Due to the tight budgets of struggling families, flour sack clothing was very common. Thus, many unique designs were printed on the sacks. The patterns came in a variety of colors and styles. There was something for everyone. It's estimated that during the Depression, 3.5 million women and children were wearing clothing and using items made from flour sacks. The patterns were diverse in styles, as manufacturers tried to make something appealing for people of all ages and interests. Many of them were adorable, and fabric designers still use a lot of the same styles today. The sacks even came with instructions on how to wash out the ink of the company's printed logo. There were also tutorials on how to turn the sacks into all kinds of useful items. These were like the DIY articles of the 1930s. As the popularity of flour sack clothing grew, booklets with sewing ideas for cotton bags were distributed. Women made dresses for themselves out of the bags, as well. Some women even used their sewing skills to bring in some extra cash, sewing dresses and other items for friends and neighbors. However, things changed with the onset of World War II. Cotton started being rationed to make uniforms for soldiers, and people were more than willing to give up the fabric in order to support the war effort. From then on, flour was packaged in paper bags, and it's been that way ever since. Who knew something as simple as flour could be so rich in American history?